All right, so I've been called out. There's a movement going on started by Chris Meacham, fellow Jeeper, where he's calling out fellow Jeepers to tell their Jeep story. And in return, they have to call out 3 other Jeepers. So I've been called out, which means there's absolutely no Jeepers left to call out. I'm pretty sure I'm the bottom of the barrel. But anyhow, so here's my Jeep story. I guess it all started a long time ago. When I was teenagers, my oldest brother dictated what our hobbies would be. And it was model airplanes and then sailing and boating. And then one day he decided that we were into drag racing. And so I became a tinkerer with cars, watched him. He's still a professional mechanic. And I just learned to tinker with cars to get them go fast. And let me tell you, you ain't lived life until you travel down the quarter mile in 23 seconds in a Ford Pinto. This drag strip by our house, Thompson Speedway, had amateur night every Tuesday night. And we'd go, you pay $10 and you race 3 times. And it was great. And it was a community of people when we got there. If you needed help with your car, people you were racing against were jumping in, setting up your car for you. And that's my brother was a genius with timing and carburetor setting. And so people would be waiting for us to get there so he could get their cars tuned. And it was just a great camaraderie. We all wanted to race each other. We all wanted to beat each other. But we didn't want to beat you when you weren't your best. There was no sport in that, I guess. So I got more involved with drag racing. I've grown to become a better mechanic. But my mechanical skills pretty much stopped in the mid-70s, late 70s, when all the vehicles that I owned were created. Vehicles now, with all their computer and gizmo, I have no idea what to do. I've rebuilt 1,000,001 carburetors. I've never in my life changed a fuel injector. So it's cars. Working on cars, I kind of lost my passion for. Like that is until I come across this Jeep. Came across the XJ, and I just felt instantly connected to it. That, coupled along with the online support and just a huge support everywhere you go. You know, fellow Jeepers talk to you about it. And just the Jeep community in whole. I just felt like part of something bigger than me. Yeah, I know that's sappy. I'm gonna cry. Oop, gotta go back to work. And so he moved off to California. I got married and life happened, and car became mode of transportation as a way of life. But fast forward to just quite a few years ago, my oldest daughter got her learner's permit, and we decided to buy another vehicle. And since I care for my children, I wanted to wrap them around some good old American steel. So I started looking for a car, something kind of stout that could take an impact, and something cheap because kids' first car, they're gonna trash it. So stumbled across this Cherokee. It was in real sad shape, and it took me about a year to put it together. Most of it was body work, which I'm excellent in body work. Everything else, meh. So put it together. Daughter turned 16, got her driver's license, handed her the keys, and she said, "What's this?" It's the keys to the Jeep. I don't want to drive a Jeep. I'll look like white trash. Well, honey, we are white trash. Anyhow, so she didn't want the Jeep. She ended up buying a Volkswagen with her own money, Volkswagen Beetle. And so I had an extra car hanging around, so I started driving the Cherokee, liked it. Had to replace a ball joint on it. Never replaced a ball joint on a 4-wheel drive. So I just went to the internet to look, and I discovered a whole slew of forums and videos and all kinds of stuff. But I come to land on the XJ Talk forum and start listening to their podcast. And just the whole Jeep community as a whole just kind of welcomed me in, accepted me, and I had a lot of questions to answer. I was new, and it was the camaraderie that I had back when we were drag racing. It's just a whole, not only this was worldwide, all done through the internet, which I've met a few people in live, and everybody seems to be okay. I'm sure there's a few nutballs out there, but you know. So to Jeeping to me, it's not a vehicle, it's a way of life. So went on forums, started talking to people, and then decided to lift a Jeep. And then I started getting into off-road, and once you burn through a construction zone once, you're hooked on off-roading. Then yeah, I know that's illegal, and I don't do it anymore sometimes, but there's always a lot of construction going on around the airport, and you're out here in the middle of the night. It's the only natural thing to do, but I don't do that. I don't condone it. But anyhow, so got my Jeep, loved it. And I have a friend that's a second owner of a Cherokee XJ, and immaculate condition, 140 miles, which is kind of low for a 20-year-old vehicle. And I told him, if you ever want to sell it, let me have first crack. And so one day he said, hey, I'm selling the Jeep, you want it? So I bought it. So now I have 2 XJs. And then my daughter was borrowing, my youngest daughter got her driver's license, and she was borrowing my Jeep all the time. And I said, well, we got to get one of your own. And so I didn't want her to destroy the nice, pretty one that I have, and the other one that was in really good shape. So we come across one that was dirt cheap. We had to do a ton of work to it, so we bought it, and we put in the work, and we got it. So now I got 3 XJs, which I had to buy back from my daughter to give back to her. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, that's a whole nother video. There is absolutely nobody left to call out on the Jeeping community. Well, that's not true, but calling out Cherokee Ronnie. He doesn't even know I exist, I'm sure, but I watch his videos. He's a down-to-earth guy, does everyday stuff with Cherokees, and he's very knowledgeable, and I enjoy it. Plus, I'm as redneck as all get out, and he's fluent in redneck, so I can understand him. Dan Cole from the 4x4 podcast, I'd like to call him out. Ton of interesting stories with this guy. If you ever listen to the 4x4 podcast, he knows a lot, and he does his stuff. I'd like to call out Josh from the Jeep Talk Show. I know he doesn't have a YouTube channel that I know of or anything like that, and he's kind of like a hermit when it comes to social media. But we'll figure out some way to get him to tell his story. Maybe we can do it on air, on the podcast, or whatever. But if you don't listen to the XJ podcast, I'm sorry, the Jeep Talk Show podcast now, listen to it. It's good. A lot of information. So there it is, my Jeep. God damn, itchy nose. There it is, my Jeep story.